The last time I looked at an app for Fujifilm was in 2019, and a lot has happened since then, but not a lot's happened with the Fujifilm apps. Yes, they brought out the X app, but it's just not doing what I need it to do. So when the developers of Shutter Plus reached out, I thought, looks decent. We'll give it a little look. So here we are. We're gonna set it up, connect it obviously, have a good overview of the menu, and I think I'm going to try it on my Sony as well, just have a nice round view. Now of course when I did this in 2019 we had a nice pretty background. Not today. It's all about the app though, so let's crack on. First things first, let's go to the web page. Now I've got my own landing page which gives you 30% off. Why not? But we're going to hit download there. Now first we're going to go for the Fujifilm one, get that, and then it's literally as simple as that. Let's try to connect my T4. T4, enable, fair enough, enable, while it's using the app, wireless communication, selected, next, connect to camera, Wi-Fi, network settings, that's you, searching for camera. Been a while since I've connected on this particular iPad. Fujifilm connected, complete setup. Remote control, right, beautiful. Nice clean layout. We've got histogram at the bottom which I can make ginormous. I can play with that to my heart's content. Lovely. Yes, I can easily move the focus point around. Pinching in and out doesn't do anything there. We've got a full screen there. Cool. Obviously, shutter button. That was rather loud. Cool. Right. I don't know where to start. Let's try the cog. Sounds on and off. We shall be turning sounds off. What is this? Monitor. Waveform, histogram, obviously turn that on and off, color effect, false colors, zebras, LUTs, ooh, very cool. Focus peaking, do like a bit of focus peaking. Love it. Monitor on and off, yeah, okay, that's cool. Here we've got flip view, aspect ratio, and oops. Nice. X-pan, lovely, lovely. Let's go back to there. Overlay, do like a bit of an overlay. 2x2, 3:3, 6:4, diagonal, golden ratio, spiral. That is pretty cool. I think that one. Oh, you can throw an image on top. Very handy. Do like that. We can flip it there. Then we've got all your film sims, pro neg highs there. Beautiful. Look at that. That is actually pretty cool. Love it. White balance settings there. And I'm not sure. This one's grayed out. The AFS is grayed out. I think that's just on the camera only. Aperture, shutter. It's nice. Doesn't obstruct too much, or at all, I should say. Yeah, that is nice. So over here we have, we're going to go to that in a minute because that has got me very curious. Timer, yeah, with a delay, number of photos. Sweet, that's pretty cool actually. That is very good. Let's turn that off. Bracketing, exposure bracketing not available. Make sure that's cool. I've got to just set that there, and then we can access what we've taken on there. I wonder if that's not fully loading up the resolution. Let's take another shot. Actually, it's in manual mode in it, so it's in manual. And let's see if I can switch it from manual there. No, let's go to the camera and see. Right. Has that adjusted on the app? I don't think it has. I might have to reconnect. So let's see. How would I reconnect? Disconnect. Let's go back in. Remote control. Come on. Right, I think we're in. We're in. I just want to check out this video mode because this has got me very curious. Right, video mode. Press record. All seems fine. Nice little timer at the top. Red frame indicator, which I love. And we can change. Oh, that's better. We can change some settings on the go while it's recording. That is very cool. Yeah, sweet. That's what you want. Change stuff as it's going. And stop. Now, what is the deal? There's a little camera icon up there, but nothing's happening. Capture length, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a nice feature for video, actually. If you have a delay and a capture length, that is pretty cool. I do like that. Very interesting. Sure, there's stuff on here that I've not seen before. Now, if I go back into, where's the gallery? Can't see the gallery now. Let's go back to photo mode. Could have sworn I saw a gallery here somewhere. I mean, let's look in here. Right. There's a good gallery. Will she play back? No. Mob's not playing back, but at least you can see if it's there. And the JPEG doesn't seem to be full. Let's download that. Let's download it. Now I do shoot in RAW, so it's just a funky version of the JPEG. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure about that. There's something to query. Right, I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, gallery, all downloads. So now it's sharper. Now I can see it better, effectively. Okay, so you've got to go into gallery, and at the bottom we can see the settings. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yes, don't know why that says XT30 when it's XT4. That's kind of bizarre. Rename XT4 just for the crack. There we go. XT4 connected. Remote control straight back in. Recording. We need to see if it's in 4K, which we can't see until afterwards. There's nothing on my XE5 screen, but I can see the red dot behind, so it's recording to the memory card, and I've got the red frame indicator on the iPad. Just quickly test that autofocus to make sure. Now, what I'm noticing is no audio meters on this thing. We've obviously got the monitor information that we saw before. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, no funky bits and pieces. You can't adjust anything during that, obviously. I'm going to tap the mic to make sure that the audio is from this. This is a test. Let's stop it and have a little look. Testing on my Sony a7 III. Now I've tried the connection with the USB-C and wireless as I'm doing now. Both of them, as with the a7 III and older, no face detection, but I think it's working absolutely fine. Again, no audio meters. Not sure if I'm missing something there. Let us know, but everything else seems to work a treat. In fact, I do believe we're getting a 4K file this time, so better than the Fujifilm experience. I've got a feeling that's got to be limited by Fujifilm itself, not app developers, because surely somebody would have dealt with that by now. But as far as Sony goes and the old a7 III, this is working absolutely fine. What else is there to report? I think that's basically it. Yes, you get the red frame indicator. It does say recording when you start, but otherwise business as usual, I guess. Kind of like it. Very handy, especially as this camera doesn't have a flip around screen. So you can use this to deal with that, especially in a situation like this where autofocus isn't a big deal because it still catches my face without face detection. Limiting otherwise, but that's a Sony thing, as I think the Fujifilm problem with the 1080p is a Fujifilm problem. But happy to say that this is working as expected, more or less. But I think we've got enough now to stop this, go inside and have a think about it. I'm almost ready to put my thoughts together. Right, that's enough testing. I've got to say, overall, I'm happy. I love the clean look. I think an app like this should be simple, easy to use, and it definitely hits the mark there. It's fairly well featured. It connects pretty easy, unlike certain apps that shall remain nameless. There is a split-second delay when shooting on my a7 III, but my T4 and E5 basically instant, so fair play. The composition tools are excellent. I really like the exposure bracketing options. I think the time-lapse setup is real nice. So astro shooters, for example, or weirdos like me trying to make a thumbnail, we're happy. Flip view and focus peaks in are both here, which is good news. The Fujifilm version has the film sims, which is really cool and works perfectly. This app does most of the stuff a standalone monitor can do and can control the camera remotely for photo and video. And for that reason, I think it's been a worthy experience checking it out. You know, as an alternative to something like the X app or camera remotes, this connects quicker. Or for the Sony shooters, monitor control app, this app works with more cameras than the Sony app, including the a6700. Finally, another very cool feature is that you can use it with an Apple Watch, which I don't have, but I think that looks like a super practical feature. And yeah, I love watches, but I get them and then I don't use them, but I like that feature. On the negatives, as I mentioned somewhere in this long video, I think you're limited by the system you're shooting on. Having spoken to the app creator, they told me that hopefully they can add audio meters in an update soon. That was something that I was really missing. Things for the future, maybe cloud storage, webcam connection, more realistically, better RAW support. That'd make this a true all-in-one app that pretty much no other app could beat, but that's probably a bit too much work for an independent developer. He's probably scratching his head right now thinking, why on earth has he mentioned all those features? We've got to think big. Anyway, yeah, talking about thinking big, is it worth the price? You can check it out, and I recommend doing this. You can check it out for 7 days for free. But if you want to buy it, it is $45 if you buy it via my link. On the plus side, that is a one-time purchase, and I think a worthy investment for a hybrid shooter across multiple camera brands that doesn't want to spend a whack or carry a separate monitor. And you're going to have to spend big to be able to do everything that this can do, you know, with remote control. And like, yeah, a lot of us prefer to support independent developers, and from my dealings with them, they are very responsive, constantly working to make the app better while single-handedly supporting, I think it's 150 cameras on the app across Fujifilm, Sony and Canon. So you've got to say, fair play. I'm glad I gave it a try, but now it's over to you.